And Trump's visit continues with stops in Qatar and the UAE. You're watching live images right now of Air Force One, which has arrived in Doha. And for more on Trump's tour, we welcome Foreign Affairs Specialist Dr. Neil Quilliam to the program. He is also an associate fellow in the Middle East and North Africa program at the think tank Chatham House. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us today.
You're welcome. Very pleased to be here.
Now, Trump has emphasized that his foreign policy will be about deals, not aligning U.S. policy with U.S. values, which has been the norm in the past. This sounds like a big shift. Can you put it into perspective for us?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, this whole visit, and as you rightly said, it's his first serious kind of foreign visit since becoming president, is all about deal making. It's about tying the economic interests, the financial, technological, and defense interests of the U.S. closely with the Gulf states, particularly Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar. And it's about refreshing, reaffirming that relationship. It would be wrong to characterize, U.S. foreign policy as always promoting and having been embedded in values. They have always been a part of that. But actually, deal making has been a key element of U.S. foreign policy for a long time. It's just that Trump himself really emphasizes that and is really sort of maximizing it to its full.
Trump has been receiving quite the lavish welcomes, royal welcome in Saudi Arabia, and there's been some controversy in the U.S. over a plane that he is said to be have been gifted by Qatar. Are we seeing more of a transactional approach that Donald Trump has been famous for as a business person, now carrying over into his presidency?
Absolutely. And this is all about transactionalism. And the Saudi leadership in particular has sort of expressed its delight in the transactionalism. As we said just now, values are no longer sort of, second or third tier priority. I mean, they're right in the backseat. This is all about trade. And it's also about show. It's also about circus. Donald Trump, clearly loves a big welcome, and he loves all the razzmatazz. And certainly Saudi Arabia enjoys that sort of showmanship as well. So you saw the stage set there for both leaders to really sort of step up and talk through the dynamism of the friendship or the bromance that they have and the relationship that they're building. But I think both are very clear that it's transactionalism at the heart.
So what then is the U.S. interest, the transactional interest with Syria? Why open up that relationship?
So, what we've seen Iranian influence diminish over the past year, 18 months here, and it's really on the back foot in the region. And I think this in itself, I mean, Syria does not offer the U.S. major transactional economic benefits that it would have with the Gulf states, for example. But it does present the U.S. with an opportunity to sort of open the doors to Gulf investment into Syria, and as a way of sort of stemming the return of Iranian influence. So it's more about stopping Iran regaining a foothold in that country. And hence we've seen that meeting this morning between Donald Trump and Ahmed al-Sharaa. It's part of that messaging that Iran, your time in Syria is over. We are building bridges, or we're going to support our Gulf allies actually move into that space and begin to invest in the economy.
I want to ask you a little bit more about Iran, because Trump told Gulf leaders today that he urgently does want to make a deal with Iran to wind down its nuclear program. Can you help us understand what role Gulf leaders would play in making this happen and whether it's likely?
So the Gulf leaders, I mean, there's been a lot of diplomatic activity. A lot of Gulf leaders have visited Iran, or the Iranian foreign minister Araghchi has visited the Gulf states just previous to Donald Trump's visit. And a couple of weeks ago, we saw the Saudi defense minister Khalid bin Salman, the crown prince's brother, visit Tehran. So there's a lot of active diplomacy taking place at the moment, and the Gulf states would very much like to, for Iran and the US to, to strike a deal. It's in their interests, Mohammed bin Salman in particular, because for him, he wants to realize Vision 2030. In order to do that, there needs to be stability in the region, and that means, Iran no longer being sort of a menace or a threat. In terms of likelihood, I think it's still unlikely that the US and Iran will come to terms, will come to a deal. And if they come to a deal, I don't think it will be any better. It would probably be subpar to the JCPOA, the nuclear deal that was reached back in mid last decade. So I think there's a low likelihood, but clearly Donald Trump is trying to sort of push this through Steve Witkoff and his team to see if they can have a breakthrough.
Dr. Neil Quilliam from the think tank Chatham House, thank you so much. Really appreciate you sharing your expertise with us here.
You're very welcome. Thank you.